Already have one magnificent leather armor. Who else has leather armor on? Nobody? Cool. Well. This adventurer's notes. Animal figurines. Remarkable arrow. Okay, let's get the... Let's open up the path. What is this here? Okay. Bring up Vizera. Have her stand on this. Guess it opens this, then we can get through.
I heard some kind of mechanism.
And push this crate. Gives us our shortcut. So now we can just bring everybody back together. Let's go do a long rest. Long rest area. I don't see... I think we're nearing the end of this. I don't see many other lootable chests or something off in the fog of war. So might as well do long rest. Long rest lasts us a really long time. Currently, how we're doing fights. So, and we have so many rations. Ugh. If we need to do another long rest, we can do it. I mean, what our ration situation? Yeah, we've got something like close to 30 rations. We only need 4 per rest. So, and we, on the trip back, we always find food, so not a big deal. Okay, so let's do that long rest. Alright, prepare spells. So we don't really need to use healing word. So guiding bolt is better. Does damage and gives us advantage on the next attack on an enemy. We never even use bless, which, I mean, we should, because we're barely using any of our spells, our first level spells. So we'll try to use bless more. Blindness, enhance ability. No, don't need hold person. Grants protection, so protect versus evil and good. Grants protected from evil and good. Aberrations, celestials, elementals, fays, fiends, and undead have disadvantage to attack the target and cannot charm. This would make... oh, it requires concentration. So you can have this, or you can have Shield of Faith going. Shield of Faith takes us up into an AC range where enemies need a 20 to hit us. This would be awesome, but we can't have two concentration effects going at the same time. If you were running two clerics in your group, and one was the tank, and you positioned effectively, this could be really awesome. Put them in a doorway. You've got Shield of Faith on the other one. They've got disadvantage to hit your guy who does high AC. It'll pretty much never happen. So, hi everybody. St. Nicholas, am I enjoying the game? I am enjoying the game. It is early access, so you come across little things that are kind of like a little frustrating here and there, but it is early access. I think it has a lot of potential, and I'm looking forward to seeing how it develops. There's some great things about the user interface. There's some things about the user interface that I think need to be more informative. I think, like, for example, spell descriptions. Unless you are going and using, like, going on Google and looking up spell descriptions and all that, you won't. If you're not familiar with D&D, you may find the spell descriptions and how things are supposed to work very obtuse. And unfortunately, when it comes to choosing things like spells, as you level up, you might be really disappointed by the effects of certain spells that you chose. And you're kind of stuck with them for a while. So things like that. There's a number of other things. I'll probably do a little overview when I'm done, just to kind of list out the pros and cons. But in general, it's good. I'm having fun exploring their world. Quantum Echo, welcome. It's only annoying when you are trying to buy like 100 rations in town and have to long rest for the shop owner to have more stock. Yeah, those little things. I appreciate when developers put in a little more thought into their NPCs, as opposed to kind of like, here's an NPC that's staying in this one location, and they're not really operating like you know shop owners operate. Even in like great fantasy, if you look through great fantasy books and things like that, you always have a sense that, you know, these shopkeepers are savvy business people who know how to barter and restock and take advantage of, you know, if business is increasing, they know how to they know how to acquire new stock pretty rapidly, or even things like maybe the price goes up, right? So you buy all their rations, and they're like, oh well, now instead of, you know, 10 gold per ration, it's 12 or 13 for a little while. So I would love to see things like that in a game to make you feel like the NPCs aren't just kind of vending machines, right? That talk to you. Quantum Echo also says a level 2 bless is good on any party. Yeah, I'm just really stingy with spell use. I'm really stingy with spell use. And I also like the challenge of trying to get through fights and rely more on kind of tactics and position, especially in a tactics game, right? A game like Baldur's Gate or Baldur's Gate 2, I might just, you know, go nuts with spell usage. But in a game like this where you're kind of unsure where the next camp is, and you're worrying about burning rations and resting too much, I'm always looking for ways to cut down on spell use. I don't like using spells in a fight unless I know I'm about to go rest, or if the fight turns out to be, you know, surprisingly challenging. Other than that, I like to kind of look for ways to completely avoid damage, exploit enemy pathing, all that kind of stuff. So that's why, like, I've been reticent to use Bless, and I was just saying how I need to use it more. like in a fight, I'd probably be more willing to use something like Guiding Bolt, as it is a big damage spell. It's 4d6, and on top of that, it makes your next attack against them have advantage. So tactically, it's really good. I'm really barely ever. I've used Inflict Wounds like once. It's a very strong spell. I just haven't been in many situations where it seems to make a lot of sense to use. So, and Bless is definitely a nice bonus. I think the biggest challenge, though, the most beneficial spell that I've used in the game so far is Dancing Lights. So, Bless is great because it gives you a +2 attack bonus. Dancing Lights is better because in many of the situations your enemies are going to be dim lit, or they're going to be in darkness. You're not going to be able to see them. And Dancing Lights does two things. One, it makes them targetable. It takes off the disadvantage that they have, or disadvantage you have attacking them because they're lit up. Two, enemies never target Dancing Lights. They don't treat it as an enemy to be attacked. Even though technically I think a Dancing Lights has like 12 hit points or something. I think it is damageable. And secondly is that Dancing Lights actually acts as an ally under the rules. So that if you put it next to an enemy and then you have an enemy and then you have a character that has sneak attack. Your character has sneak attack can sneak attack the enemy Dancing Lights is next to. It counts Dancing Lights as an ally. Right? So technically that enemy is distracted enough to be able for you to sneak attack them. So it's also can be cast as a bonus action. I'm pretty sure. The bonus action. No, to move it around as a bonus action. So once you cast it, then every turn after that you can just move it around as a bonus action, reposition it. It's fantastic. I use it almost every single fight. Joker says, any disadvantage from being encumbered? Yes. I'll show you in just a second about that. I need one more spell selection here. Oh, what the hell? We'll just do hold person. So encumbered. I'll pop up in the inventory. As you can see here, you can see your encumbrance meter, your weight. So we're well into light. Now I stumbled across this down here in the maze, which is pretty sweet. Handy Haversack increases your carrying capacity by 1.8. I saw one of these in town at one of the faction vendors. It was like 1,000 gold, and I still wasn't even able to get enough faction with them to get access to it before I came here. So it was cool to actually come across this before I went and dropped 1,000 gold. So 1.8 modifier versus the backpack, which is a 1.2. So it's definitely helped. I'm making Vicious here my mule. So as we get into light, our speed is reduced by 2. So, which is essentially our move. So, she's a Sylvan Elf. She would normally have 7 move, just with a normal movement. So she can move 7 and then attack. So right now that's reduced by 2. If we get into heavy, it's going to be reduced by 4. So she'll only have 3. So it does significantly impact you in a fight if you're not paying attention. Like for example, my rogue is lightly encumbered right now, so it's definitely noticeable because I almost always use cunning action dash on the rogue regularly in fights, and that -2 actually with cunning action dash turns into -4, so you really notice the range reduction. But unfortunately, I'm carrying a ton of junk to sell because the scavenger system that they've implemented in the game it hasn't been fully implemented yet. And that's simply the scavengers will go and loot all the junk in an area that you left all the stuff, and they'll split the profits with you or something like that. Quantum Echo says bless plus light, no bless plus light, no concentration. What do you mean by bless plus light, no concentration? Oh yeah, light doesn't have concentration. This is actually a great spell too. But I often find that in a dungeon, like, I want to keep... I only use it when I'm ready to be offensive with my tank. Like, in the last fight that I did, I positioned myself so she was in darkness. So that the enemies had a disadvantage attacking her, and they couldn't reach the rest of my party unless they got through her. And her AC was super high, so there was no way they were getting through. If I had cast light on her shield in order to give myself a advantage on the enemy would have had vastly improved chance to hit her. So, but this is a fantastic spell, by the way. So you're absolutely right pointing it out. It's a great cantrip, especially for a tank, somebody who's operating in a tank role. Most enemies have light sensitivity in this game. I'll have to keep an eye out for that. I didn't notice that the skeletons were disadvantaged when I had light on the shield. Oh, the white would have had disadvantage? Cool. Good tip, thanks. So in that situation, I mean that's really good. Need to have more monster lore access, so I can see this stuff. So there was a situation in this. So I was fighting over here. My guys were up here in darkness. I started the fight when the skeletons were right here, and it was clearly in bright light, I guess, from this chandelier. So when I moused over them, they weren't bright light. And it said that I had advantage because I was in stealth, but it also showed that I had disadvantage because the skeleton was in bright light. So that was confusing. I wasn't sure if it was telling me that the skeleton was disadvantaged because it was in bright light, or if I was disadvantaged because the skeleton was in bright light. So it looked like what my advantage was going to be canceled out by the disadvantage. So you can check the journal. Right, but you have to essentially unlock them, right? You have to gather enough knowledge about them, right? Let's see where I'm at. Skeletal Knight. So if something has superior dark vision, does that necessarily mean that they're going to be disadvantaged in bright light? Or were you talking, this guy just has normal dark vision. Superior dark vision. It would be nice, for example, if you mouse over these things, it might be a little pop-up tooltip here, so that players understand what superior dark vision means versus regular dark vision. I mean, I can go Google it and look up what SRD 5.1 is and all of that, but it would be nice to see. So there's two things to that. One, I can Google that and I can go find that information, but as with all CRPGs, you never really know what the developer's intention is as far as their own implementation, right? So Superior Dark Vision might not have the full effects, or they may have the intention to have a one-to-one kind of Superior Dark Vision has the same effects in their game as in SRD 5.1, but they haven't actually fully implemented it, and you won't know because you're in early access. So it's always helpful, I think even in early access, for developers to make sure that their highly rules-oriented game is clear on their mechanics. Fundameco says mostly if they have superior dark vision, they will have light sensitivity. Okay, so it's a probability, like it's a high probability. Usually enemies that have superior dark vision also have light sensitivity. Okay, so I'll keep an eye out for that. Thanks. Okay, so if they are being negatively affected by bright light, it should pop up as an icon on their image in combat. Cool. Advantage and disadvantage are such important mechanics in this game. I mean, it makes such a huge difference. It's crazy. I mean, it's absolutely bonkers. Like I was just saying during the last fight, the enemy had a 2-hit of +4. So, but my AC tank's AC was 25 buffed, right? And so the only way for them to hit would be able to roll a natural 20. But in a disadvantaged situation, so that's a 1 in 20 chance. In a disadvantaged situation, they have to roll a natural 20 and a natural 20 to hit you. That's 1 in 400 chance. It's a radically different probability scenario in that circumstance. Joker says, I'm running a dwarf party. Thanks for your comment. Disappointed with dark vision. I am too. Just it's also, there's just not a lot of clarity around it. I think it's good, but it's not as beneficial as I thought it would be. Especially since in a lot of situations I still have to, despite having dark vision on elves, I still have to throw down, I'm still throwing down dancing lights to light up an area anyway, and also to provide a essentially a distraction for rogues anyway. So I wouldn't say that it's a nice to have. It's definitely not need, or I wouldn't even say it's necessarily min-maxing at this point. Now, Drow superior dark vision, that's different. I would say I wish they had dark elf / drow with superior dark vision. Quantum Echo says the developers nerfed how dark vision works from D&D 5e in order to make everyone need light. I see. I thought it felt a little underwhelming. I gotta do a quick load. Sometimes the game bugs out and it won't let you move. So doing a quick load. Quantum Echo says it's underwhelming in this game, especially if you have a whole party with dark vision and still need light. Yeah. I mean, if you look at my party, I've got 2 High Elves and 2 Sylvan Elves. So obviously I was looking to you know, benefit from dark vision. And it's been okay, it just hasn't been fantastic. So there are situations where it's nice where the enemy is dimly lit and they're within range. So that's beneficial. Even Dancing Lights has a specific radius, obviously, that within just right around it is brightly lit, but the effect of dimly lit goes out a little further. So your dark vision lets you count that as, you know, you're not disadvantaged when targeting that area, which is great for ranged characters. And I've been primarily playing a ranged group, so I am benefiting probably a little bit more from that than if I was melee focused. My group technically can do melee as well. It's just I generally start and run most of my fights at range as much as possible. I think it's interesting from a world standpoint. If the developers wanted to say, hey, we like the idea of a light mechanic, we like the idea that players have to really, like, you know, they don't just go into a place and it's just automatically lit up and, you know, it's just convenient that there's light streaming in from places. I get that. But if that's the case in general, it's kind of one of the things where if you say that that's the case, then you would also have to say that a lot of significant thought in the world would have gone towards creating efficient and effective lighting tools and or spells, right? So that, because obviously adventurers and people are trying to stay alive in the world, and if the world tends to be dark and unlit, they would be looking for ways to efficiently and effectively create light. I think there would be a lot more spell options. Light, they would be looking to create a much bigger impact of light. Like, instead of dancing lights being, where is it? Being one little object that radiates some light around here, you would have like a spell that goes, light up the whole room, or how about a spell at a level 1 spell that casts 3 separately controllable dancing lights, right? So I don't have any problem with designers, like, you know, going with the theme and trying to implement something around that, but like getting players to use light and think about that and kind of being immersed in the darkness a little bit more, and, you know, having it impact their game. I just think that if you're going to do that, people would have created better solutions. Now, I don't even know, can you even throw, let's see, we've got a candle here. Torch. Can I throw the torch? See, I can't even throw a torch. Like, you would think that if you're going to make the mechanics rely upon darkness, that... Can I throw this torch or not? I don't think I can. There's no throw option. But yet, if I was trying to be smart as an adventurer, I would go, oh, crap, let's throw a torch down here and provide a lighting source. Okay. You also come across a ton of torches that you'll never ever use. That would be cool. Alright, so Quantum says, quote, this is indeed as designed, bright light, no disadvantage, dim light, disadvantage, unless you have dark vision. Darkness, disadvantage, even with dark vision. This is different from tabletop because Solasta plays a lot with light. We want to encourage players to use lighting and avoid having a full dark vision party to just do all the levels in the dark, which would look terrible on screen. and lessen the gap between non-dark vision.